How's it going, everybody? Adrian here from the Gaming Observer, and welcome back to your daily news update for Wednesday, October the 7th. Now, folks, there was basically nothing worth talking about today in terms of actionable news items, so instead I'm going to tell you about 3 games that you might want to check out today. Let's take a look. Okay, first things first, Baldur's Gate 3, developed by Larian Studios, actually entered early access today on Steam, and that's going to be available on both Windows and Mac, as well as Google Stadia, interestingly. So in traditional Larian fashion, the early access version of the game is going to feature the first of 3 acts that the game is slated for. In terms of length, that's about 25 hours of self-contained content, which they will iterate on as bugs come up and stuff like that. And if you don't know, the developers are usually really good about just giving a complete product with early access, which they then expand for final release. They use it as a way to crowdsource, what's working and what isn't, because the game is going to be huge, and they need that input. So the question remains, should you buy the early access version? A lot of people struggle with this, and they actually answer it right on the Steam page. Let me quote it for you here. Quote, "You should not buy Baldur's Gate 3 in early access if you want a polished experience. Early access gives you a chance at an early taste of what the gameplay will be like, but we still have a lot of work ahead of us. Only buy the game now if you want an early look or if you want to participate in community feedback. Otherwise, you're probably best off waiting until version 1.0 releases." End quote. Okay, so if you are in the dark as to what Baldur's Gate 3 is, here you go. It is the latest entry of the Dungeons & Dragons-based Baldur's Gate series, but the last mainline entry in the series came in 2000. That was Baldur's Gate 2. They did try to bring back and revive the Baldur's Gate series over a number of failed attempts, and finally they chose Larian to do the job after they succeeded so well with Divinity Original Sin 2. So it is a D&D game, so it adapts from the D&D rule set, in this case 5th edition. However, the connections to Divinity are going to be inevitable, right? But that's probably a good thing as well. Transitioning one-to-one to video games is kind of difficult. But a lot of people have said it, Larian is probably the best studio to handle something like this. Both of these franchises, Divinity and Baldur's Gate, are known as being extremely dense RPGs, so hopefully the end product turns out well for them. We're probably going to have Kato talk about the early access this weekend, so if you've been wondering whether or not to pick this up, tune in this weekend. Okay, another game that is available today in full release is Mike Bithel's The Solitaire Conspiracy. I talked about it recently. This is the best-looking solitaire game that you have ever seen. And if you didn't check it out last time I talked about it, it is set on the backdrop of like a spy agency. That's why it's called The Solitaire Conspiracy. And the game has 3 different modes. It's got FMV cutscenes and a unique twist on the game that you're used to. So the question is this a true solitaire game? Here's what he says on Steam, quote, "Yes-ish. The Solitaire Conspiracy is inspired by a variant of Solitaire," and he goes on to say, quote, "Campaign and Skirmish are take-at-your-own-pace experiences that fit into your schedule." Those are the 2 different game modes. "Countdown mode is a place to test your skills with nuanced powers against a ticking clock. The game is endlessly replayable," end quote. And if you look at critical reception, they did actually like the new twist, generally. They called it fun and addictive. However, the thing that kind of fell flat was the story elements. Apparently, they weren't as compelling as they might seem in the advertisements. All of that being said, though, Bithell is a legendary game designer. He's definitely worth checking out. He's also responsible for games like Thomas Was Alone and John Wick Hex. So if you're looking for something to play, feel free to check that out. Okay, and finally, I want to just push you again to check out the game Genshin Impact. And I don't necessarily have anything new to tell you. It's just getting a lot more popular the more that it has been out. And, it isn't without its criticisms. Apparently, the people who have gotten to the end say that the end game content is apparently lacking, but that makes sense, development is still ongoing. Everything they have planned for the game is not yet out. They've also got things like, the team is based out of mainland China, and they kind of have to conform to certain laws that people disagree with morally, like censoring any use of the words Taiwan or Hong Kong. And I'll leave it to you to determine if that's a big factor for you or not. All of that being said, though, I am mostly hearing good things about the game. You definitely wouldn't expect it from free-to-play Breath of the Wild, as it's called. You wouldn't expect that to be pulled off successfully. But in this case, people are pleasantly surprised. Microtransactions are not pushed in your face, even though there's a gacha mechanic, and there is a substantial amount of content to explore. So if you like the concept, you can check it out on PC, PS4, or mobile devices. It looks absolutely beautiful as well. I can't believe it works on mobile devices. And yeah, let me know what you think of it. Otherwise, folks, that is going to do it for today. I hope this show was helpful for you. I like to highlight some games every now and then, and I will be back with whatever news there is tomorrow. So until then, happy gaming, everyone. Hello and welcome to the TGO After-Show. First things first, I just wanted to let you all know, because the After-Show listeners are the people who actually care about this kind of thing. I have just released like a 5-page brain dump. It's a PDF of me basically just writing out everything I'm thinking about the Gaming Observer right now. Where it's been, where it is, where I think it's gonna go. You know, just the things that have been ruminating over the past couple of weeks. And I wanted to get it out on the page because, you know, school is gonna get very chaotic soon. We're just about coming up on midterms. So I want it out there. I wanted it out in the world. So if you're interested in reading that, and to be honest, you've probably heard a lot of it based on how many after shows you listen to, it's probably not going to be all that surprising what you read, but I don't know, I think there's some nuggets in there. Anyway, if you want to read it, I did tweet it at gaming_observer, and I just threw up a link to it on like Google Drive, basically. And then it's also in the Discord server in the announcements channel. And I won't lie to you, it is a little lengthy. It's certainly a read. So I'm not too upset if you don't read it. I certainly don't have any expectations there. But I know some people are curious, so. Anyway, besides that, we were talking yesterday. I'm loaded with an anecdote here. You know, yesterday we were talking about controller buttons, right? Those poor Japanese players who are about to have their whole world turned upside down with the X and circle buttons. Well, I have been playing exclusively the game Hades for a long time now, right? I'm just gonna take a look here at playtime. Yeah, so 25 hours I have put into Hades, and since hour 0, I have not played any other game. That's just how my life has been over the last 2 weeks. Well, today I decided to go back and play some Nier Automata. You might remember me talking about that. And oh my god, I had to rewire my brain. And it was pretty coincidental, I guess, the fact that we were just talking about this, but I mean, granted, they are both like beat-em-ups, so the instinct to want to just button mash constantly was there when it came to Nier Automata. But even then, like, I was pressing the wrong confirm button, which is weird on both of those games. It's not A, right? Because if you're in Hades, if you want to talk to somebody, you hit right bumper. And then in Nier Automata, if you want to interact with something, you hit B. And then similarly, in Hades, if you want to do well, you usually have to move very fast. That means using the dash button, which is A. So here I am in Nier Automata, just jumping everywhere, because I'm so used to just mashing the A button to dash, right? Oh man, it took me like a solid 20 minutes just to get used to the pacing of that game. You don't have to go fast. Anyway, so I just thought it was funny. Anyway, other than that, I don't know what's going on. This weekend, I'm gonna try and get Kato on to talk about Baldur's Gate 3. He's actually been streaming the first Baldur's Gate, or at least Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. If you've never seen the game, that's like a prime way to actually experience it, because the game itself can be extremely frustrating. And, Kato has played through it so many times that as he's streaming, he's basically talking about everything that's going on. So if you go to youtube.com/KatoSep, KATOSEPE, he posts the VODs to his streaming. And I loved it. I thought it was a great way to just get to know Baldur's Gate. It's definitely a dense game, don't get me wrong, but it gave a good sense anyway. So he's a huge fan of the series. He's really eloquent at talking about video games, so he's going to play through some of the early access and share his experience with us this weekend. We also have a secret project in the works right now, which I'm really hoping works out. Scheduling is a little scary on it, but if it does turn out, then it's going to be really fun. And otherwise, we're all good. We're doing well. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, farewell.